Hello everyone, good evening. Welcome to your Rangers Review post-match reaction video, the first of the season after Rangers' comeback draw against Club Brugge at Ibrox this afternoon. It was a game of two halves, Rangers falling 2 goals behind early on, but a stirring comeback in the second half. 2 goals scored to salvage, I was going to say a point there, but to send the crowd home relatively happy from Ibrox. Goals from Mohamed Diamande and Finley Curtis rounding things off for Rangers. It was an interesting affair, it's fair to say. Joshua Barry is in attendance for us. Sorry we're slightly late, folks. Waited a wee while for Russell Martin to speak to us, but we've heard from him. We're going to play a snippet from his press conference a little bit later on. But Joshua, what did you make of what you have just witnessed?
Yeah, sorry we're delayed, everyone, but we're waiting for the press conference. So out with our control this time, and loads to get in from that press conference, including updates on Igamane and Dessers' future, some interesting quotes from Russell Martin in regards to Clinton and Ciala. He was also asked about Jamie Vardy and amongst other bits and bobs. But we'll get to that, Derek. Firstly, the football. I thought your suggestion that Rangers were going to win 3-1 wasn't looking great when Club Brugge looked like they were about to make it 3-0. And it wasn't a great first half. Rangers probably helped by the fact that it seemed like Bruges played a strong first half team and then a weak second half team. And I think Rangers probably mixed it up a little bit more. The first half wasn't great. And basically the issue for me was you saw why Rangers are going to spend money, whether it be sanctioning loan deals and playing large chunks of wages for Nasser Jija, who we believe will be the next man in the door, or continuing interest in Connor Cody, a transfer that's still being worked on, the money spent on Emmanuel Fernandez. Rangers are strengthening that area of the pitch so much, not only because they need better defenders, they need better people in terms of playing out the back, but because if you want to press high, you need the right profiles there. And that was the whole disconnect for me, Derek. I thought Robin Propper really struggled and Leon King not much better. And everything else kind of flowed from that. You need to have trust in your number 6 and centre-back partnership if you're going to play that type of football. And yes, we don't read too much into it because it's pre-season, but equally for the type of football that Rangers are probably going to start to play, they need more security there. They need better athletes there, and we can maybe get into that. James Tavernier helped that in the second half. Club Brugge got a bit weaker, and Russell Martin there speaking said he much preferred the energy from the second half, and interestingly said he learned a lot from that first half. One factor he emphasised was Rangers can't be a reactive team. They've got to be a proactive team for the type of football they want to play. Diamande scores a great goal. Finley Curtis, who I thought did pretty well throughout the afternoon, was tired but managed to finish well and get his first Rangers goal and take it to a draw. So a far brighter second half than looked the case at half-time. But for me, the story of that game, Derek, is the type of centre-backs that Rangers have will dictate what type of football they can play under Russell Martin, and that's why they're prioritising that so early in the transfer window.
Yep, Rob Carroll gets in touch. He says, Curtis was excellent, hoping to see more of him this season. You and me both, Rob. He was named man of the match today. Very well done. Took his goal really well. 2 similar goals, you could say. Well done to Nadim Mairami, who I thought was pretty good when he came on. And it was a sort of a run that reminiscent of Paul Gascoigne in his pomp.
Right.
I just thought of that famous Aberdeen game when he bustled his way through 2 defenders, showed great upper body strength, and just played the ball on a plate for young Finley, and it was a very composed finish. Diamande's goal was a beauty as well. Good play from, bad play from Club Brugge, but good anticipation from Oscar Cortez, who was bright in spells today. Set the ball up for Diamande, and a cool, composed finish from him as well. So that certainly plus points there. Like you, I thought Tav was relatively comfortable at centre-back. We've seen Max Aarons for the first time right back. I think he's someone that will always look to bomb forward. He had a chance with it, a left foot. He sort of snatched at it and he fired it over the bar. But I thought he was decent enough at right back. And certainly given, we touched on it the show earlier before the game, given the number 3, Rudvan punted out to number 33. That would tell me that I think if your number's getting taken off you, Joshua, that tells me he may be heading to somewhere else. Did Russell Martin talk about that, Rudvan in particular, in that press conference?
He didn't, because there was so much else to get through, but he did reference the fact that, look, the squad is getting big and we'll get too bloated and players will need to go. Just on Ridvan firstly, we've obviously said previously, that's our understanding, that a bid was rejected from under a different decision makers at the time, in terms of Rangers didn't have a sporting director ahead of the CEO to maybe, what would you say, push that forward, as might be the case now. But there was an offer for Ridvan in January from Besiktas. I believe it was a loan to buy. That wasn't accepted. I don't think that looks great with hindsight, because he's a player that Rangers are looking at options at left back. You're right, if you get your number taken off you, you could see it as a warning. You could see it as a reflection of the fact that he's not really a first-team player.
I'd be raging if that was me.
Yeah, of course you would. But also I think that the other side from it, Derek, is if you've been here 3 seasons like he has and you've not been readily available enough, is it just a consequence? Martin, I think, will need to make these type of decisions to get Rangers back to where he wants. But yeah, whether it be him or Ben Davies hasn't been training because he's been injured. Russell Martin says Cyril Dessers was here. We'll get into him. Some interesting things to say on Clinton and Ciala. Sounds like he could be on his way out the exit door too. Yeah, for me, what Tavernier gave you at centre back, it's not so much that even like his individual isolated moments, but for the first 20 minutes of the game, 30 minutes of the game, Brugge were playing around the front 6 of Rangers are pressing as Brugge play out from the back. They've maybe got 8 players by contrast, and they're keeping 3 up top. But because King and Proper couldn't stay man for man on the Brugge striker, whose name escapes me, either they weren't getting close to him when he spun in short, or if they did press in really high, and there was this moment about 23, 24 minutes into the game where the high line is played and Rangers do squeeze up and the defence does go with the front 6, but then the ball's played over the top of Proper. So for me, that's the big learning, the big lesson for this game. It's a kind of tightrope way of playing football, because if you lose the ball in the centre, you can be quite unguarded. And Martin did say that, look, you normally wouldn't play a team this good early on in pre-season, but it's because we have this Panathinaikos test. I thought when Tavernier went in there, he gave them a bit more athleticism, a bit more security. The team could play higher up the pitch as a result, and that led to a much improved second half with a lot more energy.
Yeah, Haggis Killer gets in touch. He says, Derek, if Aaron's favours the number 3, he may have bought it off Ridvan. It would be worth asking. I don't make it sound like it's a car registration plate. I don't think players.
I don't think it works like that.
Yeah, by not. I may be wrong. Next time we're in the company of Ridvan Yilmaz, we'll ask him if Max Aarons has gave him a little wager just to take his number off him, but I would be surprised if that is the case. But nonetheless, the second goal from Club Brugge. I know Russell Martin he said in his post-match press conference he was angry at half-time. He said, I don't really get angry about friendlies and stuff, but both goals were really avoidable. Now, I know, mentioned there Robin Proper, Joshua, John Brown was having a right go at him on Rangers TV, and rightly so. Could that be the last time we see him in a Rangers jersey? I don't think you'll get many Rangers fans that will be crying a tear if they do not. He's not going to cut it, and you can see why, as you touched on, why they're looking to bring in centre-back reinforcements. Second goal, incidentally, fantastic finish, goal of the season, contender already. That was an absolute peach of a strike, but you can tell it was a bit makeshift in the centre back positions. I thought Emmanuel Fernandez, when he came on, certainly looks a unit, a big lad, put himself about. What do you make of him?
Yeah, didn't see a ton, but didn't lose his duels, as Clement would have said. And yeah, the centre half partnership, that's not a centre half partnership that's probably going to. There's probably going to start.
I'm going to say that they're not good enough.
No, and they're not starting that game today, Derek, because they're going to be starting against Panathinaikos. Fernandez is here. Our understanding is that Giga will be announced soon, could be the next couple of days from Wolves, presuming that the final I's and T's are dotted on that transfer. Rangers are going to pay a large proportion of his wages. He moved from Red Star Belgrade for £10 million in January to Wolves, but just hasn't quite got an opportunity there, but very highly rated. But you need those type, and Fernandez comes into this camp too. If you've got a big physical, it doesn't even need to be big, but a defender who is comfortable defending 1v1, and you saw this happen more when James Tavernier comes on, it means your other centre-back can jump in and match up man for man. The opposition doesn't have a free man. You can keep them penned in. If not, what happens is you get caught in no man's land. And that happened so much in the first half for Rangers. So we spoke a lot about what is Martin's style going to look like on the ball. And there was a couple of nervy moments in the first half. Jack Butland was obviously really quiet in the second half. But a few nervy moments, especially. I didn't love seeing Raskin at number 8 and Barron at number 6. I'd have liked to see that flipped personally. But obviously the flip side of Martin's style is he's spoken about it a lot. We want to be so aggressive off the ball, the hardest team to play in the league off the ball. That only works if you've got a defence that can follow up the midfield in an attack. So Fernandez will be brought up to speed. Do you anticipate to maybe play in that game against Panathinaikos? Martin also said that Souttar's trained well, just wasn't involved today because himself, Lyle Cameron, Joe Rosswell and Tello Asgard had a long session yesterday. But they're all players who will be involved in Rangers' next couple of bounce games, which are taking place, I believe, down in St George's Park, and then up here as well prior to that game against Panathinaikos on July 22nd.
Yeah, a few comments coming in about Danilo as well. I thought he looked rusty today, and it's a big summer for Danilo. He really has to show that he's able to contribute. Jury very much out on him for me, certainly. And the manager was... the head coach, should I say, was asked about both Cyril Dessers and Hamza Egaman. He was also asked about links to Jamie Vardy, which aren't going away. Seen reports in Italy suggesting that he's knocked back a move to Genoa and thought to be closing in on a move to Rangers. I'll just play you what Russell Martin had to say to that, folks. And this is the Rangers head coach on those links.
I think, I've been asked about so many players. Some miles away, some on the money. So basically, it's a long answer. I'm not going to give you an answer on that. But I guess you'll find out who's real and who's not in the next few weeks.
So it wasn't exactly a no, Joshua. And listen, if Jamie Vardy's a possibility, I would be all over that. I've got to say, I think that could be a sensate. I get he's 38. I've said it before. He looks after himself.
Does he? Is Vardy not the? Is he not the red? He's 38, but is he not the? I'm not saying he doesn't look after himself, but I thought he was famed for his Red Bulls pre-match and his. And
you don't play in the Premier League at that age if you don't look after your body and your diet. And
fair enough.
All that goes. Listen, he was a late developer as well. Played non-league for a long period of time, and loved watching him. I covered a lot of Leicester City games back in the day. I get it was a number of years ago now. I think you can still do the business. I'd be all over that. I think he'd just be a great character in the dressing room as well. I think now I get. It'll be interesting what happens with the striker situation, because he did address Cyril Dessers, who was in the vicinity of Ibrox today, but he wasn't part of the squad, but by all accounts is still part of Russell Martin's plans. He confirmed that they had a bid rejected. It was nowhere near the club's valuation for him, so I can't see him, like you said earlier, Joshua, going anywhere soon. And Hamza Egaman, he said it had a visa issue. He's also due back to train with the squad at St George's Park. So, what's your thoughts on Vardy and those two, what Martin had to say about Dessers and Egaman?
Yeah, we'll try and address the striker situation holistically as we understand it. Vardy's it's obviously kind of an easy link to put together in a way, isn't it? Because out of contract, English striker. But again, as we keep coming back to, it was only last week, Derek, that we were speaking about this fact that our understanding was Rangers were going to pivot much more to the domestic market and look at England heavily this summer. Vardy, I think, and from the small snippets that I've heard on it, would be a consideration if Dessers were to go in that kind of experienced striker route. I don't think, and I'll cover myself somewhat because it's a very fluid transfer situation this summer. I don't think you would see him as a Hamza Egaman replacement and you'd see Dessers, Vardy and Danilo. Perhaps you could. The likelier situation with that perhaps is seeing Dor Turgeman or another replacing Hamza Egaman. If Egaman and Dessers are both to go, and my prediction at this moment in time would be that Egaman will still go, but Dessers probably won't, based on the valuation that Rangers have on him. Then perhaps you could see Vardy and other come in And you're right, it's a big summer for Danilo. He's in the background because if he's not going to play matches, he's 25, 26 now. Does he need to consider his future? He will want to be third choice, only sitting on the bench. His first start in a long time today, and he did look rusty. But yeah, Russell Martin said that Hamza Egaman's return to the UK with the other Rangers internationals had been delayed by a small visa issue, he said, at the airport, and he anticipates that he'll be back this week. Now, he didn't say that a bid from Lille hadn't arrived. Obviously, the latest that we've reported on this was way back a few weeks ago when we said that there was, our understanding was there to be contact between the players' camp and the club, but that no official bid, to our knowledge, had been submitted for Hamza Egaman. So some sort of poker game going on there, because the information, the briefing on it has been very, very quiet. I still think he will leave Rangers this summer, but it's a long track. Still 2 months of the transfer window to go, and Rangers are probably right to, again, in regards to Cyril Dessers too, they're not in a rush to sell him, and the bid that they received was well under the valuation they have for him, which we believe to be around £5 million. And for a player who scored as many goals as he did last summer, fair enough.
Yep, they're quite right to stand their ground on that front. A few comments, as you can imagine, coming in. If you want to send a comment in, folks, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. We've got a new member, actually. Family Robertson's become a Rangers Review Extra member, so thank you very much for your support. That's very much appreciated. There was a comment as well, a new subscriber that came in. For the life of me, I can't see it, so apologies for that. But just on the striker situation, Graham says, hope people don't jump on the Danilo is rubbish bandwagon. He was feeding off scraps and still showed some nice touches and layoffs. And Daniel wants to see Hamza in the Rangers jersey again. He said, I'd like to keep Egaman for another season, get him up top from the start of the season. And someone's not on board with the Vardy. He says, no interest in Vardy. That would be a terrible signing. So there you go. I think it would be good, but that is just my opinion. I think it would be a Jermaine Defoe-esque, which I think Rangers have lacked since he departed. I've done that open goal interview recently, didn't he? And I still wish he was part of the squad by the time the Rangers went to Seville. I just think things may have been different had he been an option. But there you go. Other than that, great to see there's a comment came in about the academy boys. I've touched on Finley Curtis, who impressed. Great to see some of the other boys getting opportunities. Bailey Rice, I thought, was good, Joshua, when he came on in the middle of the park. Him and Diamandi certainly combined well. By Rami also, we touched on. Young Xander Hutton came on at right back, which is good experience for him. Certainly a step up from what he is used to, that's for sure. And we also seen Josh Gentiles as well coming on.
Thought he did pretty well. Finley Curtis, Martin, a lot of praise actually for the young players in the press conference, in particular Curtis, who it sounds like Martin thinks athletically can really make the step up to men's football, and it's the issue that Rangers have had so often with their academy players is they effectively haven't got them up early enough. And Bailey Rice and Curtis both aged 18. Rice has this contractual situation that's ongoing. If you're going to break into the Rangers first team, I think it's now. Otherwise, it's maybe a little bit too late. If you have, maybe you've got one loan move in, you actually, I'm probably being a bit harsh, but you take my point, Derek, that we've seen it too often with players who are 23 or 22 and still around at the club. And by that point, I think the ship has just sailed. But Gentles did well for the goal too. I thought Bayrami was bright. It's the brightest I've seen him in a long time. Can shift, can't he? Kind of quick over the first few yards and probably looks. You've got to remember he played in the midfield where the ball went constantly over his head last season. So will he look better when he sees more of it? And Rice too. I thought Rice was better than Barron at number 6 today. Played in a better half. Played further up the pitch, but I thought he was better in that position. Aside from that, Cortez, some bright moments, again, still getting up to speed, but won the ball back well and obviously created that first goal. That aside, only other talking point from the young players, and people can watch this in the press conference of the YouTube channel, they can read it on the website. Russell Martin spoke about Clinton and Cial in a way that makes me think he's going to be going out the door. Didn't confirm it, but said in effect, and I'm paraphrasing, he needs to go and play games. He's trained really well. But he wasn't part of the squad today, Derek. And if he's not getting in at centre-back ahead of Leon King, who wasn't really in the scene at centre-back last season, I would suspect that you might see Clinton and Ciala go out the door one way or another this season at Rangers, especially because of the number of players they're bringing in that position. And Martin referenced that too.
I'd be sad if it's a permanent move, because I think there's something in there. I'd be sending him out on loan if he is moving out the door, because I certainly think there's he is raw. I get that, but let us know in the comments, folks, if you agree, if you would just move him on. So yeah, we are expecting. Well, Martin said that himself. He expects some movement in the coming week, as we touched on before, a number of players have been linked with moves to the club. Ditto players with moves out of the club as well. Bayrami's an interesting one because, of course, there was a link with his former club about a month or so ago, Sassuolo, about taking him back, which is relatively, I think, disappeared. Russell Martin, of course, has ran the rule over him. And if he puts in performances like that, then he may be one of the players that just might have a new lease of life under a new coach. Kieran Dowell started, though, Joshua, and it was a very Kieran Dowell-y Rangers performance, wasn't it?
Yeah, I thought, to put it politely, I thought Bayrami was better than him in that position for sure. Just struggled. But Bayrami, he's an interesting one, Bayrami, because it's quite a busy area of the pitch now. If you think of, if they're going to play with two number 8s, you got Diamande, Raskin, Rothwell. Although I have a sneaky feeling that Rothwell might play a bit deeper. So we shall see. And Tello Asgard as well, who we've not spoken about. It was confirmed last night. Obviously, a move that developed quickly. First reported on, I think, Thursday that it was advanced talks at that stage, and it was a move that was anticipated to move quickly over the coming days. On the fee, I don't think it's as low as 3.5 overall. Understanding as it could rise to, it probably will rise to higher than that. It was an initial 3.5. because there was a relegation clause in Asgard's contract with Luton. And Martin, again, just speaking in his press conference there, pretty glowingly about the player and how he thinks effectively he's not played in a team that has enough of the ball, again, paraphrasing, but really, really believes in his ability and what he can do up here. He should provide a goal threat to a Rangers midfield that sorely lacked it. And I think he'll probably play in that left number 8 spot. So, a few signings in the door this week. Would anticipate that it's going to be another busy week again, and now I think you're going to see the outgoing start to ramp up purely because they have to. Rangers squad is going to get too big, and also they've spent a fair whack of money on Fernandez and Asgard, so it's important with the Egaman money, which still anticipate will arrive at some point, although that is dragging on. It's important that they get more money in to strengthen in particular the wide areas, because the striking situation, you could go in with those 3 strikers to a season. You couldn't go into the upcoming season with Rangers wide options at the moment. They need at least 2 wingers for me, arguably 3, depending on what happens with Finley Curtis.
Well, in terms of wingers, they have been linked again. Another player, again, I'll probably butcher this young lad's name, Jesserin Raksaki. You may have seen, folks, at 22 years of age, Crystal Palace winger on loan at Sheffield United last season. Palace said to value him at 10 million quid. And it's thought that Rangers will look to loan the player. So we'll look into that one. I can't say I've seen anything of this lad, Josh. I don't know if you have.
No, but it's a name that has been mentioned before. In relation to Rangers, and I believe mentioned with a bit of substance behind it. So yeah, we the winger situation, a lot of what would I say? A lot of need there. Obviously, Kwame Poku, there was real hopes that he would come north of the border. When Russell Martin was speaking in his Rangers TV interview the other day, he emphasised that they only wanted players who effectively didn't want to assess their options. I think so. You can't say definitively, but Rangers really wanted him and attracted him for a long period of time. He, in the end, chose to stay not only in England and to the Championship, but also Croydon, which I believe is near where he's from originally. So, yeah, keep your eyes on the winger situation. We'll bring you any news that we get, any transfer hints that we get this week, and what we anticipate will be another busy one, as I say, in terms of incomings and outgoings too.
Yes, absolutely, folks. I'll be back on tomorrow morning. Stevie will be on with us at 9:30. Also going to speak to a Luton fan to get a bit of insight into Tello Asgard as well. He wasn't there for long, and by all accounts, the Hatters fans are a tad frustrated they're not going to see more of him. But that's what happens when you get relegated. Players don't want to play at League One that are far better at that level. So we'll get someone on tomorrow afternoon. Keep your eyes peeled for that as well. We'll have you covered throughout the course of the day. Right, big thank you to Joshua as ever. Was it good to be back there, Joshua, today?
It was, yeah, it was. I wasn't thinking that after 15 minutes, but second half was a bit more enjoyable, and tough test for Rangers to kick off pre-season. I think Russell Martin would be pretty happy with that all in, especially the second half, given that Brugge is a difficult opening pre-season game, and now he gets a week of working with the team down at St George's Park, and I'm sure they'll be better for it. Yeah,
and you and Chris are heading down there. I think on a media day Friday, I think, you'll get to speak to hopefully Russell Martin and a few of the players. Hopefully that'll be good as well. Cracking, lots of teams go down there. I've seen a video, I think Peterborough were down there. I've seen Darren McAntony doing an interview there, owner speaking about how great it is to go down there. And I heard Bomber actually speaking about this on Rangers TV, which you don't really tend to factor in, but it'll be good for the team to bond down there for a week, Joshua, because they'll be living with each other as opposed to just meeting each other on the training ground every day. So it's a team bonding thing that these trips can prove to be really beneficial in, especially a new look squad.
Especially a new look squad, definitely. So we'll have loads of coverage for people from there. So subscribe on YouTube if you've not done so already, please. It really helps us. It's absolutely free, and obviously the website, as you can see in the ticker below, we also have that entry level fee for subscription fee, small fee every single month, but you get absolutely all the Rangers news you need, reliably covered by us, and looking forward to having a lot more football to cover this year too, and hopefully some football that's nice to watch, because we've not had a lot of that over the last couple of seasons, Derek.
Yeah, it can't be any worse. We actually surpassed 30,000 subscribers over the weekend, so thank you to each and every one of you for your support to the channel. Is very much appreciated. Right, enjoy the rest of your Sunday, whatever you are up to, and we'll chat again tomorrow. Bye for now.